Round 1. Everything works. Your pressure feels unstoppable. Your throws connect. Your opponent can't keep up. Round 2. More of the same. You're in complete control. Then, round 3 begins. Suddenly, they sidewalk your approach. They interrupt your pressure. They duck your throw. They launch you. Nothing changed about your character. Nothing changed about your execution. Only one thing changed. Your opponent figured you out. And here's the mistake most players make. They think adaptation starts after their strategy stops working. The best players adapt before their opponent ever gets the chance to. Because in Tekken, the goal isn't to have a great strategy. The goal is to never let your opponent solve it. Welcome back to How Winners Think. Ask almost any Tekken player how they describe themselves. You'll hear things like, I'm an aggressive player, I'm defensive, I like rushdown, I'm a patient player. Those descriptions sound harmless, but they reveal something dangerous. Most players only have one version of themselves, one rhythm, one pace, one plan. That works until someone figures them out. Today, we are going to talk about why predictable players always hit a ceiling, why elite competitors constantly change their approach before they are forced to, and how becoming difficult to solve is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Because the strongest players don't just adapt, they evolve. Imagine you've just won a round using pressure. Every jab lands, every throw connects, every heat engager forces respect. Naturally, you do it again. Why wouldn't you? It worked before, so why not now? This is where most players fall into a trap. Success tends to create comfort. Comfort then creates repetition, and repetition thus creates patterns. Patterns thus create expectations, and expectations create punishment. The problem isn't that your strategy works, no. The problem is believing it will keep on working forever. Every successful round teaches your opponent something. The longer you repeat it, the easier you become to understand. Winning the first round doesn't mean you have found the answer. It means you have started asking a question. Now your opponent is now searching for the answer. One of the biggest mistakes players make is identifying with a single style. I'm aggressive, I'm defensive, I play patiently. Those aren't strengths, they are limitations. Because once your identity becomes predictable, your decisions become predictable too. Elite players don't think in identities, they think in tools. Sometimes aggression is correct, sometimes patience is correct, sometimes movement wins, sometimes pressure wins. The question is never, what kind of player am I? The question is, what does this current situation need from me to be? That's an enormous difference. Strong competitors don't protect an identity, they protect flexibility. Imagine every match begins with 3 versions of yourself. Version 1, pressure. You test their defense, see if they panic, see if they challenge. Version 2, movement. Less attacking, more spacing, with punishment, information gathering. And lastly, version 3, punishment. Slow the game down, block more, force mistakes. Now imagine your opponent finally adapts to your pressure. No problem, you are already becoming version 2. By the time they adjust to that, you are now changing again. You see, I want you to notice what is happening. You are always one chapter ahead. not because you are guessing, but because you planned for change before the match even started. This might be the biggest lesson in the entire video. So don't wait until you are losing. If you throw a possibly amount of times of 4 times, stop throwing. If your jab pressure has worked all round, backdash. If you've conditioned them to expect aggression, walk forward. Do nothing. The average player changes because they are forced to. Elite players change because they know adaptation is coming. Think of it as a chess player. They don't wait until the trap is closed. They move before it happens. Tekken is quite honestly the same. If your opponent is learning, then changing early is always stronger than changing late. Some players hear this advice and think, I'll just do random things. But that's not adaptation, that's just chaos. Randomness sincerely has no purpose. Strong players don't become unpredictable by making bad decisions. They become unpredictable by changing good decisions. Every choice still has a reason for them. Every adjustment still solves a problem. Imagine 2 players. One presses random buttons, the other deliberately changes timing, spacing, pressure, throw frequency. Those players look similar, but they are not. One is gambling, the other is guiding the match. The goal isn't confusion, the goal is controlled variety. Think about the strongest players that you have faced. What made them difficult? Usually, it wasn't execution, it wasn't combos, it wasn't reactions, and it wasn't certainly uncertainty. You just never knew what version of them would appear next in the match. One round, they pressured constantly. The next, they barely attacked. One round, they challenged every opening. The next, they waited for you to make mistakes. They weren't changing because they were confused. They were changing because they understood something most players don't. Every strategy has an expiration date. The trick isn't finding a strategy that never fails. The trick is changing before it does. That's what makes someone difficult to solve. Not mystery, but evolution. For your next 10 ranked matches, give yourself one rule. Never start 2 rounds the same way. If one round begins with pressure, round 2 begins with movement. If round 2 begins with spacing, round 3 begins with patience. Don't worry about winning. Pay attention to your opponent. Watch how long it takes them to understand your plan. Then change it. Soon, they'll start adapting to someone who no longer exists. Every Tekken match is a conversation. The average player repeats the same sentence until it stops working. The elite player changes the whole subject. That's the difference. They are never trying to prove their strategy is perfect. They are trying to stay ahead of your understanding. The moment they feel you are becoming comfortable, they become someone else. Not a different player, a different version of themselves. And that's why they always seem one step ahead. Because they don't wait for adaptation, they expect it. If you remember one thing from this video, remember this. Don't become better at one strategy. Become better at changing strategies. The next time you win a round, don't ask yourself, how do I do that again? Ask yourself, what will my opponent expect me to do now? Because that's the moment where great players separate themselves. Not by repeating what works, but by changing before it stops. This has been How Winners Think. Until next time, if your opponent knows who you'll be next round, they have already started solving you. Think first.